Hello, welcome back to Actual Play. Tonight we are going to play Abyssal, which is a first time on the show, but we're going to be streaming a couple games of it, so I'm excited about this. We have some lovely folks today. Why don't we all say hi and talk about our name, give our names and our pronouns and our Twitter handles and what kind of monstrous thoughts we're having. So, Ash, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Ash Cheshire. You can find me on Twitter at Divine Cheshire. My pronouns are they and them. Over to you, Ed. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Hi, I'm Ed Turner. He, him, on Twitter at EdleyT.
Right. And I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns as well. I'm at Sean Nittner pretty much everywhere. And I played a game of this, playtested this a while back and had a really good time. And then when Ash and Ed and I were talking about playing it and the option for playing in a Vegas setting was pitched, I was like, yes, I want monstrous creatures in 70s Vegas, please. Thank you so much. Harken back to my Dresden Files RPG playtesting eons ago. So I'm feeling excited about weird stuff happening out in where nuclear testing happens and all this other good stuff too. So yeah. So Ash, Ash is going to be our GM. Is GM the right term?
Yeah, for sure. That would work.
Cool. Awesome. So why don't you tell us about the game and how?
For sure. Thank you. Yeah, welcome to the first public playtest of Abyssal. Super excited. Ed and I have been working on this for a long time, and we, if I may speak for both of us, Macaulay, we're really excited to show it to you.
No, I'm not excited. I'm bored as heck. I'm done with it.
As per usual. So, Abyssal, as Sean mentioned, is set in multiple times and places throughout history. You can play in, it's a Forged in the Dark game, and so there are location playbooks for currently 3 different locations. So tonight we're going to be playing in a version of Las Vegas in 1971. And so the world of Abyssal, there is the surface history, and then there's the shadow history. And so the surface history will all sound very familiar to any student of history because it's the human history. The shadow history is what we have created for the non-human beings who have been living around and under and among humans for as long as we've been here. And so each of the playbooks has different, we call them abyssals, who are sort of the dominant factions in each of the places and times. So for the Las Vegas playbook, we have, let's see, I'm going to give you just a little bit of information about what's going on in Las Vegas in 1971. So I'll start off with a little bit of surface history. So Las Vegas is a city of contradictions, a glittering facade of lights set each night against a deep desert darkness. The casinos and hotels are ever competing with one another for the fickle attention of tourists who have come looking for a magical and memorable experience. On the surface, this is all provided in spades. But Las Vegas has a long history of mafia interference, and the mob's influence can be felt throughout the city, much like a seedy green room backstage of a lavish showboat production. And so at the tail end of the 60s, outside forces began to push back against the mob, law enforcement and also competition from Howard Hughes. The business magnate and paranoid recluse spent the last 4 years buying up property on the Strip while secluded in the penthouse of the Desert Inn. There's rumors that he bought the Silver Slipper Casino solely to turn off the neon lights that shone into his bedroom window. So there's a lot of mystique around him, and he is very much, he's kind of iconic of the city at this time, this kind of opulent strangeness, for sure, to put it as best I can. And so there's a lot of tension in the city around power, of course, and money. And so a lot of the interactions in the city are going to be around control of real estate, control of money, control of the access to the tourists who come in and out. So that's just kind of a little snapshot of where we're at. Some locations that are of note. There is, of course, the Strip, a stretch of highway through central Las Vegas that is lined by its largest and most popular hotels and casinos. Caesar's Palace, the Sands, the Flamingo, the International Hotel, and many more. There's the west side of Las Vegas. Due to the effects of 50 years of segregationist policies, the area west of the railroad tracks, known as the West Side, has evolved as the Black neighborhood of Las Vegas. Black-owned casinos and nightclubs host the Black entertainers who are permitted to perform on the Strip, but are not allowed to stay in the casinos and hotels there as guests. This is very much a time where a lot of those tensions are very alive. This is an excellent point for me to pause and check in with my players and let you know that one of the things that we talk about in Abyssal is that when we set things in historical contexts, that means that the human history can often have some very real and some very continuing to be like some ongoing issues, such as the racial tensions in 70s Vegas, that kind of thing. And so I want to let both of you know that in this game, our goal is to play with the characters with fun and engagement, and they're part monstrous, and so there's a lot of opportunity there. We also want to be considerate of each other. And so if anything starts to come up that is uncomfortable to play with, we can X card things. Both of you are familiar with X cards, and for anyone watching the stream, if you don't know about X card, please feel free to search it. It's a really useful safety tool.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for bringing it up. That's great.
For sure.
Glad to get that front and center, just in case.
Yeah. So in addition, a location that we have that is unique to our playbook that did not and does not exist in the Las Vegas of the real world here is called the Gossamer Casino. This casino sits at the edge of the desert on the outskirts of Las Vegas. The truth about this casino is that it's actually an illusion that is created and maintained by the faction of the Mentalists, who are one of the Abyssal factions in the city. Customers believe that they are happily gambling, socializing, eating, and drinking at this opulent casino where their luck just never seems to end. But those who could see through the illusion would see that they are just blank stares, glassy eyes, and they're dropping their coins and bills onto the soft desert sand. Some notable humans who are around at the time: Elvis Presley has a multi-year contract in town. His current showstopper, curtain call number, "I Can't Help Falling in Love," has become quite a hit. He performs it at the end of every show. We have Tony Spilotro, who was sent to Las Vegas by the Chicago La Cosa Nostra family to oversee their casino room, the counting room skimming. He has a front jewelry store called Gold Rush, where he fences stolen goods and launders money. Sean Connery is in town, filming Diamonds Are Forever. So that's a little bit about the human side of things. And so I'm going to have you two, I'm going to have you introduce the playbooks that you're playing, and we can talk a little bit about, because you have chosen these playbooks, both of these factions will be represented in our version of Las Vegas that we're playing in, which is already true for Sean's playbook. It is not one of the dominant factions for Ed's playbook. So when that becomes an issue, we'll deal with that. But essentially what that means is that Sean's character is connected to a faction of Abyssals who already have a fair amount of power and standing in Las Vegas. Ed's character does not belong to a faction with that same kind of advantage. So Ed, would you like to start? Tell us a little bit about the playbook that you chose.
Absolutely. I have chosen the playbook called The Ghoulish. And I am I guess a part Darkling. These are outcasts even by the standards of Abyssals. They're horrible humanoid creatures who live underground, shun the light, and feast on flesh, human and abyssal alike. And the thing that is kind of most unnerving about them is, you know how you turn into a vampire, somebody bites you. You know how you turn into a cultist, you'll learn dark knowledge. Nobody knows how you turn into a darkling. It just happens to some people, and it happened to me. I used to be a human, and now I am something different.
Excellent. Thank you, Ed. So Sean, tell us a little bit about your playbook.
Ed, I did not know that your character was all about being in the dark and underground. This is so perfect. So I'm playing Neil Sunshine. Neil was raised on a commune outside of the. Neil is a cultist. He was raised in a commune by in a bunch of families and taught about communal living and all these good virtues that, of course, all were part of a cult themselves. Neil is a prodigal child, the scion of a cult, right? Like, so he's absolutely. But he's actually absolutely drunk the Kool-Aid and then barked it back up again, right? Like he's totally gone. He like knows that what he's saying is complete trash, but doesn't like care. Like he like completely accepts the lie of everything because he serves the smiler beyond the sun. I toll in service of a manipulative entity whose plans I cannot begin to understand, and that's okay. I don't care. Neil has no desire to understand the plans because these plans give Neil power, and he's happy to use that. His signature move is he has a big smiley face that he slaps on, a big smiley face that he just slaps on things. So just like Neil just vandalizes things all the time by slapping smiley faces.
Excellent.
So it's a big smiling sun. And yeah, so that's it. His family is here. His the rest of the cult is here, and I think they're really embroiled in, like, they have this, we're apart from society and we're apart from capitalism and materialism, but it could not be further from the truth. They're super invested in the gambling and the casinos, and they have all sorts of holdings that are hidden away and whatnot. And they're definitely players on the strip and throughout. Even though they completely say that they don't care about any of that stuff. And so Neil often is dressed in like sort of tattered clothes, and he looks like he's just been on like a 5-day bender, which is, I mean, probably true, honestly. He often has been, but he looks really as though he's just scraping by, but his family has tons of money.
Gotcha. All right, Ed, do you want to give us a little bit about your character's name and background?
Yeah, absolutely. So my character is named Vincent Peterson. You can call him Vinny P. He is from Chicago. And he is a former mafioso, as it happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did a lot of work with the Royale Casino until such a point as they noticed he was, I don't want to say embezzling. Let's not use a tough word like that. He was just skimming a little extra. No harm, no foul. Anyway, so he got sent out into the desert with a shovel for which to dig his own grave. And in doing so, he dug right into an underground tunnel filled with monsters, filled with these kind of gaunt and horrible creatures who, as soon as he broke through, came out and grabbed him and dragged him back into the darkness. And that is about all he remembers for, I don't know, a period of a couple months before he kind of comes back to himself and finds that he has been changed. He is pale and gaunt and does not look like himself anymore. But there's a little bit of Vinny P still in there.
And when Vinny came back to his senses, was he in Vegas at that point?
He was underneath Vegas.
Under Vegas, sure. Okay, so not really sure how he got here, but here now.
Here I am.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. So I gave each of you some points ahead of time. Have you each had a chance to spend those on some actions?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, and I think when those start coming up in a little bit, we can go into a little bit more detail about as a Forged in the Dark game, we have action ratings that you put points into, or you receive a few to begin with. And so when we get into that, I can give our fabulous audience a little bit more detail into that, because the three of us went over that a little bit ahead of time. All right, so let's talk heritage for a second. Sean mentioned his, and I heard yours kind of wrapped into your character description, Ed. So just to clarify again, Sean, your heritage, which for Abyssal characters describes something of the monstrous nature, the abyssal nature, and tells a little piece of the story of how this character became part abyssal or became liminal. So Sean, you mentioned your character's heritage. This has been a lifelong cult membership for Neil.
Yeah. Neil was grown up. Neil had many parents that they.
Well, it takes a cult to raise a child.
What's that?
It takes a cult to raise a child.
I mean, there were lots of kids that grew up in the. There were lots of kids that grew up in. We call it the commune, not the cult.
Oh,
right?
sure, of course. I'm sorry.
But most of them, by teenage years, rebelled and kind of went off and did their own things in their life. And the few that stuck around fell into two categories. There were the people who couldn't hack it in the rest of the world, which kind of came back and were filling in sort of menial roles. And then there were those who wanted to be the next generation of leadership, and that is where Neil.
That's where Neil sits.
Neil's trying to, but I don't know. There's a lot of Hunter S. Thompson that I'm channeling in this character, so I can't really see them. I don't know how hard he's actually going to try. We'll see.
Gotcha.
I think there's a lot of expectations that he will have a leadership role, and that he'll be looking out for the commune. But
is he kind of the golden child of the commune, or
absolutely?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So there's a ton of expectation coming in from the group, and Neil is just internally a little bit. How aware is he of his ambivalence?
I think I think whenever he has moments of uncertainty, he goes on benders, which he calls communing with the smiling god.
Oh, sure.
So it's like, I think that there are
to do a little spiritual exploration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Which is just his way of completely avoiding it. So yeah, he's in lots of denial and has lots of terrible anxiety, and is terrified of failing, so doesn't want to try.
Oh, poor lad.
Yeah. Well, he's got tons of privilege and he's a douchebag. I already don't like my character. Just
hooray!
So
good. We'll knock him around a little bit and see what takes place. So Ed, you mentioned, you kind of rolled into your character description your heritage, but if you wouldn't mind kind of more explicitly.
Explicitly, as a Darkling, I might have been a former human, I might have been a former Abyssal, or I might have been born in the dark, and I am indeed a former human, which incidentally gives me a friend, gives me a connection.
Yeah, that was maybe why I brought it up.
Seems relevant.
So I was going to ask if you had decided who that connection is. One of the things that we designed Abyssal to do is to allow you to say, yeah, I've got a friend. We'll define that later.
I think I know who my friend is, though. I think my friend is Tommy Searle, who is also part of the family, and he works at the Royale Casino.
Okay, excellent.
He's a mug. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not running the place, but he can get me in and out if he needs to.
Gotcha. And continuing with you, Ed, since I've got you on the horn here, special abilities. So each of you also had an opportunity to choose 2 special abilities from your playbooks. Do you care to tell us a little bit about the ones that you picked?
Absolutely. As a part Darkling, as a ghoulish, I have rubbery bones.
Everyone's singing about rubbery bones.
Oh, I am unnaturally flexible and can squeeze through openings as big as my fist.
Yeah.
I have also practiced my loping gait. I can scramble on all 4s, strange and animalistic, but faster than any human.
Yeah. All right. So you're fast and you can fit through very small spaces.
That's my jam.
I'm really into this, Ed. That's super gross, and I love it. Yeah,
Sean, what are your specials?
Mine are the Maker of Dark Deals. Whenever I accept a Devil's Bargain, I get plus 2D instead of plus 1D. Yep. So I'm going to be asking for Devil's Bargains at every turn whenever I can. And the other one, just to kind of go along with the way I've described Neil so far, is no self-control, which is like the Daredevil move. Whenever you take a desperate action, you get plus 1D to your roll and take minus 1D to any resistance roll against consequences for your actions. So I'm also not only going to be taking Devil's Bargains as much as I can, I'm going to be pushing for desperate actions as much as I can, because why not? It's going to be great.
The Cultist is kind of the bad idea playbook.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
This character is full of bad ideas. One of their gear items is something explosive, and then the gear item beneath that is something very explosive. In all caps. So I'm looking forward to figuratively and literally blowing shit up.
Yes. All right. Tick tick boom.
And Ed, you've been talking about a particular casino, and I'm sorry, it was in my head and it just blanked.
The Royale.
The Royale. What are your thoughts about us in terms of, and this is a kind of a question for both of you, it's like how good is it if our interests are sort of entwined versus if they're sort of in contradiction? Because the Tropicana is the one that immediately came to mind to me as the casino that we have vested interest in, or one of the major ones. And I wonder if it would be fun to have sort of different casinos that we're promoting, and or whether or not I could just easily switch that to the Royale and like have us both be invested in the same. Like, what do you think? What do you think makes for better playing field?
Ooh, I mean, I think either is fine. I think it sort of depends on whether we want to have an experience where we're unified or where we get to argue with one another.
I mean, I think the latter is going to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
I think it might.
But I guess another way to think about this is, Ash, do you envision our characters being involved in political dynasties in such a way that we would each speak for a powerful group, in this case representing a particular casino? Or do you think that it is sort of more personal stories where it's more fun if we're kind of stuck in the same space and kind of having to figure it out? I generally gravitate towards the latter.
Yeah.
I don't know how big you want to go. Like, if we're real big, then maybe we are like flinging casinos at each other.
I mean, this is very much a player-driven game, and so I am following both of you, and my goal is basically to just get the humans particularly as riled up against you, and get the Abyssals as riled up against you as I can.
Cool.
But we can do that in either context for sure.
I'm going to say that as part of the anti-mob influence, several shares of the Royale were liquidated from mob holdings, and and there was like a federal auction that limited who could buy them, and that you had to like have been a resident in Vegas for 50 years, and you had to like do all these things because they were trying to keep outside interests from, like, they were trying to keep the mob from just like rebuying it up with like a different mob family. And so they did all of these things that from like the federal legal standpoint looked like they were done to like protect it from the mob, but it really, at least from my perspective, was done to give it to us. So
was
like,
just to make it so that you were the only ones who qualified.
Exactly. So we just bought like a big holding, and I don't really care what. It's not 51+%. It's not complete control, but it's a significant enough one that we're like major players now in the.
Gotcha.
You own a chunk of my casino?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
No. You own a chunk of my casino.
Seems like it's working already. Excellent. All right. So I'm just going to go over one thing on your character sheet really quick as we go through character creation here, because you will see that one of the things that is included are your shreds of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And humanity is the approximate measure of how strong of a pull the human world and your own human history have over your character, as opposed to the new pull of their currently liminal, potentially abyssal nature. So when you have so the shreds, mechanically what you can do with them is they're used in really intense situations if you want to make a very strong decision to move away from your human side. You're leaning into your abyssal side. You're deciding to violate something that is representative of your attachment to humanity, which is distinct from your morality. It's distinct from your empathy or your compassion. In the ways that humans use the word humanity, that's not quite what we mean here. This is really just your attachment to the human world. And so if you choose to tear a shred of your humanity away, it gives you a huge mechanical bonus for whatever action you're currently trying to take, but it puts you closer to becoming a full abyssal. It moves you away from your liminal state and away from the human world. So again, if that comes up, when it comes up, we'll see. We can go into more detail, but I just wanted to let you know what that is on your character sheet.
Cool. And there's one filled in shred.
Oh, good call. Yeah. So you have your core shred, which is identified for your playbook. And so that core shred is a little bit different from your other 5 in that if you take an action that violates that core shred, you immediately cross into the abyss. Mm-hmm. That is, and it, let's see, I don't have to remember. You have your sheets in front of you. Tell me about your core shreds.
Sure.
Ed, what is your core shred of humanity?
My core shred of humanity: I will never flee when my allies are in danger. The nature of a darkling is to run and hide, of course. So, no, not me.
Oh wow! See, that's actually feels like it's like a good thing. Like that's like you care about people. Mine is I will never be overtaken by my God's will, which is again pretty selfish. Like, my body, my brain, my will.
So, something unique about the Cultist Playbook is, for all of the other playbooks, crossing into the abyss is a chore. It is hard. You have to do something pretty intense. You have to lose a shred. All these various things happen. The Cultist Playbook is very unique in that Sean can at any time decide to violate his core shred to allow his chaos god to take over his body, and Sean can cross his character into the abyss and become his abyssal form. Consequently, he can also come back at will. So that's something that we might see happen. The abyssal forms are typically much more powerful and much more restricted in what they can do. As a little teaser for what you might get to see at some point.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, if anything goes bad, you can count on Neil to just nope out and be like, "Oh, I'm not going to deal with this." Let's let something bigger than me do.
I'm going to go on vacay and let that guy take over.
I'm going to light up, and I'll come back when things are all dead or burned or whatever.
All right, so we're doing great. Thank you all so much. You're doing so good. We are now at your character's big project. So on your character sheet, you'll see there's a project wheel. There's a space to write in the big project. And so every character in Abyssal has a project that is inspired by their Abyssal side that they are dedicated to completing. It's something very big and very important to you. This is your top priority goal. Maybe it's to better understand your new liminal nature. Maybe it's to escape from your monstrousness and become fully human again. Maybe it's to protect humans from the world that they don't know that they share with Abyssals. Maybe it's to introduce them. It could be research-oriented. It can be an extensive crafting project. It could be a revenge plot that leaves your nemesis in a pool of blood. The specifics are really up to you.
Nice. But they're
always going to be a significant undertaking.
Yeah. They're full character arc. Like this is what I'm all about doing.
For right now, absolutely. Over time, over longer campaigns, the big project can change. It is very much open to the character realizing this isn't actually what I wanted, or it's a piece of what I wanted. So it can morph over time, but at least at the beginning here, what motivates your character to get into the action of the game is this all-consuming big project that is related to your Abyssal, your new, your liminal nature, and is extremely important to your character. So go ahead and take a second. We can brainstorm out loud if you want to. We can, talk about, the different possibilities you might be thinking about. Just a note, if your character wants to keep secrets, I'm totally cool with that. If they want to keep secrets from the other characters, I invite us as the players and me as the GM to share those openly above the table with each other, because it will make it more fun for us to be able to navigate that. So this is often where some of those secrets might come in. If there's a piece of your big project that your character doesn't want the other characters to know about, we can talk about that now, and then that will just be something that we talk about on the upper level where they can't hear us.
I'm a big fan of secrets being known at the table.
For sure.
So that we can have our characters push against them. And
yes, it's much more fun in my experience.
So we all are familiar with the Ship in a Bottle episode of Star Trek Next Generation, where Data, as Sherlock Holmes, creates Moriarty, or maybe it's not the first iteration of Moriarty, but Moriarty takes over the Enterprise, and they end up trapping him in a holodeck that's inside of a little box.
Right.
And he gets to go live on forever in that thing. Neil's desire is something along those lines, to sort of trap his god in some, almost like the way the mesmerists, the glamour, the Gossamer Casino like traps people, is to trap all the kind of malevolent energy in like one area that can just sort of shit all over itself infinitely. And the place that Neil envisions that is the Royale Casino, right? Like that's his plan, is to like contain all of this just cosmic shitstorm of energy into this one, like place that's going to look from the outside like a scene in the Ghostbusters, right? Like
nice
blobs like slapping the windows and whatnot. But and it's got to be like, and he figures the only way to do it is to trick it into thinking that that's like the center of the universe, like that's the most important thing, that's where everything that's important is. And so that's I don't really know the word for that, but that's what I'm thinking right now.
Sure. Okay.
Dang, that's a big one. I like that.
Does that wreck your Christmas?
Oh no, it makes my Christmas a lot better, because I was thinking what Vinny wanted to do was take over the Royale Casino, just start running it and making it the place, which will require like killing all of the people who actually run it, or otherwise getting them out of the way, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But Yeah, that was my plan, and I like how maybe he will run it, and then it will turn into a god house.
Yeah, a cosmic vortex is what I'm calling it.
A cosmic vortex.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. So I'm going to assume that I probably don't know the full extent of that.
Right, well, I mean, neither does Neil. Like, this is my goal for Neil. He is aware of it in a sense of like, he's like putting pieces together in his head of like, this seems like it's a problem that I don't want to have to deal with. I'm gonna have to figure out some sort of solution for it. So I think he's gonna try and set up like power structures within the Royale and sort of, you know, finagle his way within there to like eventually lead to this. Yeah, I don't think he really has grasped the master plan at this point.
That's fair. I love it.
Is that okay, Ash? If the characters are sort of not fully aware of their
absolutely. Because as you can see on your character sheet, it's an 8-segment project clock, and so it is it's a major project. And so you don't need to know every step. You know, the first step could be research based. You know, just I need to go and find someone who knows how you bottle a god. You know,
right.
So for sure, that is totally fine. That it's not fully laid out. We will play to find out.
Nice.
So the last step. So your characters are pretty fully fleshed out. The last thing we need to do is figure out their meet cute. We just got to get them together. So when everyone has determined their project, which you have, we're going to determine how the other players are going to help you achieve your ends. And so if each of you would roll a d6 for me.
Sure thing.
I got a 4.
And we'll re-roll ties.
All right. I got a 1.
I got a 3.
All right. So starting with the lowest roll, Sean, I'm going to have you take a chance. I'm going to put these questions for you to take a look at into the chat for you.
Cool.
And you get to choose one of these questions to answer about Ed's character.
Oh, fun. All right. I see all the questions there.
And then you can decide how and why Neil knows Vinny to respond to this particular requirement for him.
So a lot of these questions have the word you. So in this case,
that refers to Neil. So who has access to information vital to Neil's research? Who has Neil heard of that has a skill that would help him achieve his goal?
Okay, so I'm not answering for Vinny. I'm answering for...
Yes, you're answering for yourself. Sorry, I just realized what happened. What I meant was the answer will be Vinny. So you get to choose, because we have 2 players. So you get to choose which of these questions applies to Vinny's character for you.
I see. So who has that? So if I were to choose who has access to information validated research, then
Vinny does.
Would be Vinny. Okay, got it. Oh yeah. Who has contacts you must meet to achieve your ends? Yeah, Vinny's connected.
Excellent. And how did Neil find out about Vinny?
So there was during the like auction. It's been a big scandal. I think that there were maybe a couple of a couple mod bosses that had gone in on the Royale, and they busted one of them. And those are the shares that we gobbled up. But there's several, and Ed, you tell me if I'm going away from your vision here. But there's several different families, and like it's been an open secret forever. Like everyone knows the Royale was who owned it. And so I think Vinny's family has been pretty well known for a while, and I think I'm pursuing Vinny because he's the black sheep of the family, which even though I am the golden child of the family, like I don't have any other connections in. So he seems like a weirdo. And that fits my MO. Yeah. So
that's true.
In some ways, we're both outcasts.
Gotcha.
I thought black sheep of the family is a good way to describe someone who was sent to die in the desert.
Yeah, exactly.
For skimming money off the top. I support that.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. And Ed, which of these questions will apply to Neil's character for Vinny?
Let's see. I think. Well, I mean, since like the next steps in my goal are I need to like get into the Royale, and I don't think I can very easily do that through the front door, because one of the facts about the Ghoulish is they are light shy. I'm the playbook that starts with one of my traumas already checked.
Nice.
I can't handle going in through the front door, so Vinny can do a physical task I can't do for myself, which is walk into this casino to help me break into it.
Great. So Neil can walk in through the front door and get you access through some other more ghoulish friendly means.
Yeah,
exactly.
I love that so much because my faction benefit that I chose was sleeper agents, which is want to infiltrate the city. There's secret cultists in local government always. You have the key to any public building, although you won't have the actual authority to be there. Now,
right.
The Royale is not a public building, but I can still imagine like, this is also why the government contract just worked out so conveniently,
right?
Because we have cultists within. Because we've been here for a while and our roots run deep, and so we have a lot of local government that we have sway with. So yeah, I'm totally about that. I absolutely walk in the front door, slap a smiley face on it while I'm going by. They never come off either. Like Gugon, you do your best. Like I don't know, these stickers were made by some glue that the FDA would definitely not approve.
Made in a hellmouth.
Yeah. They just never peel off.
Excellent. All right. So so the last little piece that we need to get the two of you together is to figure out where Ed, how does Vinny's character, how does Vinny know about Neil as the contact? Is it sort of because of Neil's notoriety with the new controlling, well, not controlling, but the new significant
the significant shareholding? Yeah, I think that Vinny knows this cult has access. This group, I don't know if he'd call it a cult.
Commune.
This commune owns shares of it.
Like, man, we've heard it all.
And especially if he came to me looking for some of my contacts, I think it immediately twigged in the back of my head. Oh yeah, well, we can scratch each other's backs on this one.
Gotcha. All right, so so which of you reached out to the other one first?
I feel like I would have. I feel like it would make sense for Neil to have sought out Vinny. Does that?
Here's a question: did you seek me out back when I was still human?
Ooh.
Because now what seems reasonable to me is like maybe you came to me back in the day and I said no, forget it. I got a good thing going on here. I don't want anything messing with this. Anyway, bing, bang, boom. A couple months later, I've fallen into a pit. And now my needs have changed, so I come crawling back to you in the dead of night.
That's perfect. Sounds good. And finding me in a suntan booth.
No, none of that.
No.
Oh God.
It's in a tanning salon, the worst.
Tanning salon, yep. Yeah. I am never not under bright lights. Never. Like just always whether it's the glam of the city or the open sun or in this case the buzz of the tanning booth.
So Excellent. All right. So I feel like that's a really great place to go into our first scene with the two characters, if that's all right with both of you.
Yeah.
So we're in the tanning salon. It's late at night.
Yep.
Maybe everyone else has kind of gone home. They've left Neil with the keys because you can get the keys to anywhere. You actually do have the authority to be in this building.
Yeah.
And where does the first noise come from, Ed?
Oh, I'm not walking into this building, so the first noise is just a real sharp tap on the window from outside.
I think we see, like, I think we hear the tap, and we can see like the half sun emblem that's above the door, and the like just the barely lighting of it from the street light, and then inside it looks at first like space agey, because the thing opens up like a DeLorean car door would, but it's totally nuts. I mean, it's just a crappy tanning booth, right? But like first opens up like the aliens popping out of their vessels from Earth Girls Are Easy, right?
Right.
And Neil like comes up, Neil pushes it open, and he's wearing nothing but like those little sunglasses and Speedos.
Oh yeah.
And he kind of like looks around, and he's like, wow, that was fast for the Chinese to be delivered, and he comes, and he doesn't even think, he just like, not a care in the world. He just pops open the door, and he like holds out some cash, and he's like, you can keep the tip, you can keep the change. And it's just like some crumpled up bills, whatnot. And he's like holding his hand out like he's expecting delivery.
I'm out here, okay?
Well, it's cold out there. Hey, who is that? And it is like, how does Vinny look right now? Does he look recognizable? Would Neil know who he is right now?
Probably not. Like he looks a bit like Vinny died 10 years ago and became a desiccated corpse.
Yeah. He's like, oh man, you got to take it easy on the stuff. Where's my Kung Pao beef?
No, can you do me a favor? Can you just turn down the lights in there? Just turn them down.
All right. Okay. All right, just calm yourself. If I wasn't really hungry right now, I wouldn't be putting up with this nonsense. And Neil kind of goes in and like closes the big, like, the chamber, and now we just see like the line along the edges of it, right? So it's like the only thing in lighting is just like the kind of it's just the tiny bit of light that's sort of escaping. So everything is in very dark shadows now.
Excellent. And at that, Vinny kind of scrambles on all fours into the tanning booth to get off the street, and finds himself a position in whatever the darkest corner available is.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's some big old like ferns. There's some big like tropical plants and whatnot, and so they cast a bunch of shadows, and you can hide amongst the plants. And Neil's like, all right, I don't think I took anything before I got in, but there's no way I can account for that for sure. So maybe I am just tripping real hard right now. Did you just crawl in here?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Do you remember me? You were talking to me, it must have been a couple months ago. Vincent Peterson.
Oh, Vinny P.
Vinny P. That's me.
Yeah, I remember you, Vinny. Last I heard, you took a dirt nap.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. He kind of looks down at himself. Vinny is wearing a suit still. Like, it's probably the same suit he went out into the desert in. It's loose, because he is so much more gaunt. where once it reached his cuffs, now it goes to like here because his limbs have lengthened. And obviously it is filthy and torn up. Things had changed for me.
Oh yeah, it looks like that dirt nap didn't take.
No, or maybe it did. It's. I don't know.
How does Vinny smell?
Bad.
Does he smell like rotting, like dead, or does he smell just like dirt and sweat and grime?
Probably like dirt and sweat and grime.
Okay.
Because he's not dead. He's
Right.
just subterranean.
I think Neil would have a very bad reaction to the smell of like rotting flesh, but he doesn't have a bad reaction to the smell of like somebody puked on themselves. Like that's a very normal smell. You know?
Yeah, Vinny, incidentally, would have a very good reaction to the smell of rotting flesh because you think you're hungry? I'm starving. And I kind of want to eat
some kung pao. You want to what? Okay, this got weird. I mean, I've got some kung pao chicken coming anytime. Where is my?
I don't know. Chicken's no good for me anymore. It's too cooked, and chickeny. No, that's. Listen,
what? Like right now, I know you can get like sushi anywhere, but like in the 70s, could you?
No.
I don't think so. It was not like a thing.
And if you could get it anywhere, you certainly couldn't get it in the middle of a desert.
Yeah, you weren't going to be getting it in Vegas, probably.
I'm sure you can get sushi in like 20 places in Vegas now, but
now probably, yeah.
But yeah, in the 70s, yeah, I don't think there was a lot of like raw meat options. Or like conventional raw meat.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Vinny's got unconventional raw meat options, but he's reluctant to go too far into that.
All right, I say we do like a smash cut to like later on that night, and Neil is fumbling with chopsticks and like eating his kung pao chicken, and maybe Vinny has gotten like is wearing like either over his suit or in place of his suit, but has like one of the robes they give you when you get out of the tanning booth.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And it's been like obviously like they've been talking for like hours, right? Like they've been like they've been like going over all this stuff, right? And so Neil looks down and he's like, "So you want me to help you get back into the Royale? Okay. And you'll introduce me to all the members of your family? Yeah?
I mean, I can't guarantee they'll want to talk to me, but I can do what's in my power."
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, let's do this thing. Although I feel like this is definitely longer than any trip would last, which means this is actually real, which means I'm going to have to get really wasted to have to deal with all of this. But once I recover from that, I'm on it. Like if I was high, his logic is that if he was high when this happened, then this is fine because he's just hallucinating. But because he's not high, then he needs to get high now to deal with the fact that this is all going on. And that's, I think, in large part because Neil views his role in the cult and his connection to God as much more mundane than what he's seeing with Vinny, even though it's far from. Cool.
Excellent. Any other pieces that either of you want your characters to have in this scene?
I'm comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So as it's starting to fade out, the two of you have started to talk a little bit about so where can we kind of set up here? So the next thing we're going to do is decide on your base of operations.
Awesome.
So this is a location that both of you can access. That is a place where we're going to build a little bit. There's some resources that you can build around the base that give you some advantages. various things like that. It's very similar to the blades process. So,
Nice.
Throw a silly idea out there.
Yeah.
Do we want our base of operations to just be this dang tanning salon?
The tanning salon.
I was thinking something. Well, I was thinking like something on the street, something that like you could theoretically have like a sewer access to or something like that, right? Like if needed, and something that was very like low profile and not that great. So yeah, I'm totally about it. I'm happy to have a tanning salon as our lair.
So is the tanning salon owned by the commune?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's
so you are, of course, Neil can just say like, you know what? I'm using this now. No one else can come in, and it's just kind of.
Yeah, or we use that as a cover. Like I think we keep it in operation, and we make sure that Vinny has like a way in. I think so. You see there's often underground service entries where there's like a big old opening in the sidewalk, and then that goes down to like an elevator that you can do big deliveries into buildings that have like weird stairs and things like that. I think that's what we have is like sort of basement level access that Vinny can get.
Okay.
All right, I like that.
And so the janitor's closet has basically just been like, don't go in there. No, you need a mop, just buy one at the store. Just don't go in the janitor's closet anymore. It's not safe. But other than that, I think it's still like run as a front.
Is there a name to this tanning salon? What's it called?
Yeah, I was trying to find something like I'm literally just looking at names of them, but I'm thinking Sundrop.
Sundrop. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything I can that is going to be like sun related, I'm going to do, just not only because I think it's perfect for Neil, but it's just to also drive Vinny crazy.
All right. So in that case, I would recommend maybe taking, so you get one base of operations upgrade, and one of them is the storefront, which means you can store one additional petty cash in your base of operations, which in a money-focused city like Vegas might not be a bad idea. Have a little extra cash around. The other option that you would have would be the unregulated slot. Oh no, excuse me. That is the storefront. So it's called the unregulated slot machines, but that's just kind of the title that we gave it. So it could represent basically that during the day, your base of operations is operating, bringing in a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Some other options would be if you want to have a med kit, you could have a first aid kit that gives you some benefit. You could have the gaming room, which would help you reduce stress. So those are I think those are the three that I'm gonna say.
So I'm looking at the Las Vegas base of operations, and I see the unregulated slot machines. I don't see the other. I see garage access, suite, and open 24/7. Are those a different?
Oh, you know what? You have, yes, those are the ones. Yeah. So let's see. Ed, you have access to both of those too. You can see all that.
I have access to that one. This is the most recent.
The most recent. Yeah, I had the previous one open, so I'm just going to go over to the other one.
I just put it in.
But
in the Zoom
thank you. So since you both have it open, which of those look good to you for your base of operations benefit?
Let's see. I mean, garage access. We can have a car. We can get around Vegas. Seems useful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Open 24/7 means we get extra downtime actions, which for like our particular purposes, only doing this a couple times might not be worthwhile.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. In general, I'm a fan, but I can see. I mean, yeah. I like the fact that it's a running business. I like the first one, non-regulated slot machines. That resonates for me. It makes sense. It gives us some extra coin, which we could turn into downtime actions if we want to, or throw around. I mean, it's not like it's serious money, but
Cool.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right, so we will say you have plus 2 boxes of petty cash. So instead of just one, you have 3 petty cash that you can, when you've earned some money, money is sort of a binary in Abyssal. You either have some spare money or you don't. The assumption is that both of you have established some means of maintaining the human side of your life, whatever that represents. Which for some of you may be more robust than others.
I live in the sewer and
You
eat
pretty
rats.
much live in the sewer. Your rent is very low. Your overhead is likewise very low. Just sort of generally boxed in. So that's the kind of the assumption is that you don't need to worry about the money that it takes to take care of your basics. And so when you go and do missions together or whatever, if you get money, that is extra money that you can spend on your liminal activities, your big project, that kind of thing. So if you want to store some of that in the base, you now have 3 additional slots you can do that, so that you can have money on your person, and then also additional available to you.
Cool.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so you have your base. You've got a tanning salon that is available to both of you during the evening times. And let's see. So I'm thinking I would really love to get you both into some sort of beginning mission. I'm just looking over. Ed, is there anything that you can think of that we haven't?
Oh, that we haven't covered?
Haven't covered yet, yeah.
I think we've got all the setup essentials.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think we've got pretty much.
Before we jump in, do you all want to take a short break, and then we could come back and start a score or start a mission?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Awesome. Let's chat. Thanks for hanging out as we made our cool characters. We'll be back in a couple minutes. See y'all soon.
Excellent.